here on College Basketball Review Studio. We are locked into conference championship weeks, if you want to call it that. We got multiple weeks of that here in March Madness. Obviously, before we reach the NCAA tournament, that's Dan Siegel, that's Ariel Puderman. I am Matt Majinski, and yeah, guys, I know that you two previewed the first 12 or so, it was like the first dozen conference tournaments. We are locked in those, but we have a few more. We aren't quite yet at Power Conference tournament time, but there's a couple more conferences that were out of that first episode because the brackets weren't set, but we want to do them because, you know, they're starting up this weekend. In fact, one of them already had a play-in game. So let's get right into this, and we will continue that conversation. So here's the first bracket. We have the Coastal Athletic Association tournament. This started today as we're recording on Friday, but of course only that one game with North Carolina A&T and Northeastern. And then you got 12 teams now fighting it out to be the automatic bid out of here. So, Ariel, I will toss it to you first.
Yeah, you know, the whole time I was going to go UNC Wilmington, but last second as we were talking about this, I switched my pick to Hofstra. I think that they're going to get it done. The reason why is Cruz Davis. He's the best player in the conference, 20-point-per-game scorer. But then also, since February 1st, opponents have shot 41.5% against him. That's the number one field goal defense in the entire country. So when you can get it done on both ends of the floor, it's hard not to pick a team like that. So go Hofstra. I think they get it done.
All right, I'm going way off the board here. I was pretty chalky in the first episode. I went with top 3 or 4 seeds in almost every tournament. I'm going to go way off the board here. I'm going to go with William and Mary. They are the 6th seed there playing the 11th seed Elon. They're coming off of 3 straight wins. And look, the way I look at this conference, the way I look at this body of teams, I think William and Mary does one thing. They know what their identity is, and they do it very, very well. They play really fast. They're one of the best transition teams in the country. I do worry that they're going to need to hit some jump shots. That does worry me a lot. But I see this as a team that just knows their identity very well. And this would be the first time ever in the NCAA tournament for William and Mary. And they have a long history. This is not like a team that's recent to Division I. So give me the Tribe in their best season in a while.
Yeah, and I'm going with a third different team here. So it's kind of funny here, too, because none of us are going with the 1 seed, and none of us are going with the 2 seed, because I have number 4 seed Monmouth winning this one. I love King Rice as a head coach. He always schedules fairly tough for Monmouth in the non-conference. But my reason is this, guys. This is a team that has won 6 of their last 8 games. So you want to talk about momentum? Okay. But it's not just about that, because in those 8 games is when Kavion McLean came back. He did not play for the first real big chunk of this season. He is now leading this Monmouth team in scoring and leading them in assists per game. So obviously, when you look at what Monmouth has this season, he wasn't a big part of it for the 11-12 start, but he has been on this team in the last 8 games. They're 6-2. Their only 2 losses, mind you, are to Charleston and UNC Wilmington. They were both on the road. So, look, neutral site in this game. We're in D.C. here. Obviously, Monmouth fans, you know, can travel. I know that obviously, like, this is going to be one of those conference tournaments. Look, it's not going to be packed stands, so I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have. But, you know, people that do want to travel from New Jersey can get there easily to support this Monmouth team. I think it's all setting up for them. But they've obviously might have to win, a game over a 1 seed and or a 2 seed. Like, they're going to have to win a big game here to get it done. But that is my pick. Guys, do you want to go on to the next one, or do you want to talk anymore? Good on the CAA. Perfect. Let's go on to the Southland. 2 teams here, Stephen F. Austin and McNeese, that clearly are the favorites. Ariel, you going with anyone different here?
I don't think you can. Like you said, it's been a 2-team race the whole season, and McNeese is probably the hotter team right now, but SFA has been the best team all season long. They beat McNeese in their most recent head-to-head, and you know the best players show up in the biggest games, and Keon Thompson embodies that for SFA. So I'm going to go with the 1 seed to win here, but like I just said, if any team besides the top 2 win, I'd be genuinely shocked.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not only because the bracket is set up that way, but just in terms of how far they are above the rest of the conference. Yeah, you got Stephen F. Austin, 27-4, 20-2. They did recently lose to New Orleans. New Orleans is that frisky team. But, Keon Thompson, just that super downhill physical guard. I also like this guy for SFA, Cam Burton. He's really emerged as a role player, shooting 45% from 3. I love the way this championship is setting up with McNeese. I think that'll be a great matchup with McNeese, who's just such an aggressive on-ball defense. They force the most turnovers in the country, and Larry Johnson is averaging 20 points per game in his last 5. I think when it comes down to it, in a close game between two teams that split in the regular season, I'm going to go with the Lumberjacks, who I trust more to hit that big crunch time shot, a much better outside shooting team. That's why I think it's going to come down to. I'm going to agree. I'm going to go Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, and also just to piggyback on that, because I'm also going to go with Stephen F. Austin here, guys. 17th in the country in points per game allowed per game. Like, this is an incredible defense for this Lumberjacks team. I know we always look at them maybe at offense with like the past days of like the Thomas Walkups of the world, but that is not this Stephen F. Austin team. They have defense. They can defend hard. And when you look at what they did against this McNeese team, holding them to 60 points at home the last time they played, the first time they played 66 points, like, it's going to be a grinded out game against Stephen F. Austin. I like that. I think they get it done. They only need 2 wins to win the championship. So would McNeese. Everyone else would need a couple more. By the way, I really do like this bracket for the Southland. I don't think it works for all brackets, but with a smaller bracket, I think this is the right way to do it. So props to them there. All right, let's move on to our third one. This one starting today, Saturday. 4 games. Entire tournament for the America East is on the home floor of the higher-ranked seed, and they reseed in the semifinals. So very interesting stuff here. Depending on how you pick this bracket, it's going to look different for everyone. So, Ario, who do you have coming out with the win?
I think there's a clear answer here, and I'd love to hear if you guys think otherwise, but UMBC is red hot right now. They're on a huge win streak, 9 games right now, and here's a fun thing. UMBC, since February 1st, Bar Torvik, they're ranked 90th in the country. The next highest, Vermont, 266th. So you have almost 150 spots between the best team and the next best team. And I think that's going to show on the court. So UMBC gets it done as a 16 potential seed. Cover your ears, Dan. But it's going to be good to see them back in the tournament for the first time in a bit.
Yeah. I think it was the first time since that 17, 18. Yeah, I want to say, because it would have been a big story if they were back since. I think this will also be the first time. This is an interesting America East. It's usually Vermont. Like, they don't always win the tournament. They pretty much always win the regular season. We also had NJIT as the 3 seed, so shout out to them. But yeah, like I said, give me the Retrievers. They're just a super tough, physical, fundamental team. Like, at this level, they do everything well under Jim Ferry. Jim Ferry, their head coaches, hit on 2 Division II transfers. Their 2 leading scorers are from Division II, and they're veterans. They got this guy, Jalikai King and DJ Armstrong. That's just 2 Division II guys that have been incredible there. And pretty much their entire rotation elsewhere is returning guys from UMBC who has been in that situation before. I think this is setting up for the Retrievers. But yeah, again, this is everybody's got to play 3 games to win, right? So even if UMBC is by far the better team, just one upset, and it could be anyone. It might be Vermont again. Who knows?
I am going to go with Vermont here. I just picked this bracket. I just wrote this article as it releases on Saturday. And look, I hyped up UMBC. I see the story there. Jim Ferry's done an incredible job, let alone, Vermont not having the 1 seed, because that just doesn't happen in America East basketball. But you look at where Vermont was at the beginning of the season and where they are now. At the beginning of the season, they had a loss at a Buffalo team that was playing better early on, but now you look at that and, hey, how do you lose to Buffalo? They lost to a great Liberty team in mid-major land. They lost to a really good Yale team in mid-major land. Like, this Vermont team came close. These were like 1-2 possession games where we could be looking at a Vermont team that, instead of being 20-11, is something like 22-9, 23-8, and we might not be saying they're having a down year. With that being said, this game is on the home courts, Ariel, so I'll give it to you there. They split with UMBC. They won at home. They lost by a pretty solid margin at UMBC. And that's the one loss they've had in the past 7 games. So obviously, if they're going to win this tournament, they're probably going to have to win that championship game at UMBC. And that's going to be a tough place to do that at. But if any team can, it's Vermont. I just love the way they've been playing. And this is the thing for me is this team just has so many guys. Gus Yalden, the Gus Bus, TJ Hurley, TJ Long. Like there's just so many guys this Vermont team can go to. I just think it's tough to pick against them. I wouldn't be surprised if UMBC wins at all. but it's just very tough to pick against this Catamounts, program that has just been great for so long. Let's move on. We got two more to talk to today. This one's kind of tough to see. It is the Big Sky, and it is Starch Madness, which is always just a great name. I feel like Arch Madness always gets a lot of credit, but this is probably the most fun name for any conference tournament out there. Guys, who's going to have the most fun and come out on top?
Yeah, I wrote this article, so that should be coming out on the website, so make sure to check out the full preview there. But I like Montana State here. They won 3 in a row before last year where Montana took it. A Montana team has won 6 of the last 7 Big Sky tournaments. So those Montana teams obviously dominate this tournament, and I think they do it again. Matt Logie's an unbelievable coach. They have really good balance with their offense and their defense. I think this is going to be really competitive, though. Portland State, they're the 1 seed. Yeah. They kind of struggled at the end, but they were kind of in control the whole season. And the 2 hottest teams in the country right now, or in the conference right now, are Eastern Washington, North Colorado. They're both 7-1, 8-1 in their last couple of games. So watch out for those teams. Montana, obviously, with Monty Williams, is going to be tough to beat. And then you got a fun fact. Actually, I wrote in my article. I want to read it to you guys. The 6 seed or lower has made the semifinal in 7 straight Starch Madness tournaments. So keep an eye out for Idaho. The game is in Boise. Keep an eye out for a team like that. Maybe Mike Bibby and Sacramento State win their first road game of the season. But otherwise, I think it's going to be really competitive. But Montana State, they're my pick.
Yeah, I can't go with Portland State, the 1 seed either. They brought home a lot of hardware in the awards, but they, again, like you said, they've been struggling. There's always a team that's below 500 that gets to March Madness that will likely be in the conference we'll talk about next, but that also might be 13 and 18 Eastern Washington. They're 9th in Haslametrics momentum. Their guards have been shooting the lights out. You mentioned all that, but I am going to agree with you, Ariel. I am going to go with Montana State. I also just remember in their non-conference, they did not win a lot of games, but they competed with a lot of teams that are bigger brands than them. They had close loss to Colorado, close loss to Stanford, close loss to Boise, lost to Utah State in overtime. What did they do? They learned how to win these close games. Jed Miller is the guy to know. He's a 4-year player in the program, has kind of sat in the shadows for 3 years, now has emerged as a star. Yeah, I'm going to go with Montana State here.
Guys, I really like your picks, and that's because I'm going to make a very uneducated pick here and go with Montana, even though that nothing shows that they should win other than Monty Williams could just have the tournament of his life. I'm literally not going to talk more than just that. I just feel like I have to bring up Monty Williams. He is one of the most electrifying guards in the country. He's going to have to win a couple games. He's going to have to put the team on his back. The one thing I'll say is if they can get past a Northern Colorado team that literally just beat them by like 90, they will play a Portland State team in all likelihood that hasn't been playing good in their own right. So that's a potential trip. It's almost like beating the 5 seed Northern Colorado might be the tougher thing right now for Montana than beating the 1 seed in Portland State, which is a very weird thing. I'd love to see a Montana versus Montana State final. Seems like that could be an option, but like you mentioned, I mean, anything could happen in this tournament. And that's kind of why I feel like even an uneducated guess probably isn't a bad guess, because when it comes down to it, March is about heroes, and Monty Williams could be the hero for this Montana team.
I will say this is a brutal year for the Big Sky, isn't it? I feel like there's usually like at least 2, 3, 4 like solid 20 plus 22 win teams. There's just not. I don't know. It hasn't had the intrigue this year. Do you guys agree, or is it just me?
Yeah, I think it's been more competitive. Like we saw Portland State had 5 losses and they won the conference. So I think that the top to the middle is a lot more competitive than usual, and that's kind of why we saw that. And then, like you mentioned, just the non-conference, just the way teams are scheduling now, it's kind of harder to get games, so they're playing tougher opponents. So I think that's why as well.
I mean, I look at last year, there were 2 teams that finished with 25 wins. The year before, 3 teams with at least 20 wins. I get what you're saying. When you look at the overall record of the conference, it's under 500, and it's I guess that's kind of typical, but it's the fewest wins in 3 seasons for the Big Sky. So I can see where you're coming from with that. All right, let's move on to the last one of this episode. the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Guys, let's be real. The winner of this tournament is not going to win a game in March Madness, and if they do, I will bite my tongue, but like it just isn't going to happen. But it's going to be a fun thing for a school who wins this tournament to be able to play in March Madness. Sorry if that's, being kind of abrupt with it, but I'm just kind of telling it how it is. Ario, who do you have winning this?
Hey, look, the team I'm going to pick to win almost beat Auburn in overtime in the first game of the season, and maybe Auburn, I don't think they should make the tournament, but people think that Auburn is a tournament team, so if they can somehow face Auburn in the first round, which they won't, but if they can play like they did against Auburn, then maybe Bethune-Cookman, my pick, will win this one. They won the league by 3 games. I think they're comfortably the best team in the conference. Jacoby Hetty's the best player in the league. You put those two together, I think it's really – I know, Dan, you're going to have a different pick, but I think it's a no-brainer that they win this.
Yeah. Before I give my pick, shout out to Mississippi Valley State. I think that the conference has – the qualifying teams has been cut short, right? There's one team that didn't qualify due to some sort of reason. I don't think Mississippi Valley State's usually even in the SWAC tournament is my point. And they're the beloved bottom of the Ken Palm every year team that's won 2 out of their last 4 and almost 3 out of their last 4. So yeah, shout out to our beloved losers, but we're going to go with Southern here, the Southern Jaguars. Another team that plays with tempo. They got this point guard named Michael Jacobs that's just the possession ends as soon as he touches the ball. He basically takes every shot for that team. He's not afraid to take and make big shots, though. He was lighting up some of those power conference teams in the non-con, even though they were losing every game by 30. He was putting up 25 plus left and right. There are also a couple of things I like about Southern. Best rebounding team in the SWAC. They lead the SWAC in block rate. This conference is always just a crapshoot, and this is their March Madness. This is what it really means to them. But yeah, Texas Southern, maybe they'll make it to the first 4 again. Who knows? My pick is going to be Southern, though, but this is the conference I definitely have the least feel of.
Yeah, I like Texas Southern to give them a good run for their money, but I agree with you, Ariel. As I was even saying that, I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, Bethune-Cookman did almost beat Auburn. They actually had that win over Ohio. They came pretty close to Dayton, and they also got blown out by a lot of other teams as well, though. So obviously, maybe they could give a team a run, but probably not. But yeah, I mean, when you look at this conference tournament, no one else is kind of even worth, in my opinion, doing a deep dive on. You look at this Bethune-Cookman team, and you're all right, maybe this is a team that, like you mentioned, could give a team a run for their money in the round of 64 for a couple minutes, and then, who knows from there. But I do have them winning this tournament as well. So, guys, those are the 5 ones that are coming up, obviously, over the course of the next couple of days. Before we end this episode, though, let's talk a little bit about the conference tournaments that have started already. Just 2 takeaways from each of us. So, Ariel, I'll go to you first on this. What's your number 1 takeaway, as we're sitting here into the wee hours of the morning recording on Saturday with almost a full week of Champ Week done?
Yeah, you have to talk about Arch Madness and just the madness that went on today. You had Belmont losing to Drake, the 8th seed. Belmont, a team that was so good that people were even considering them for an at-large, them losing. Then you have the double overtime game against, I'm forgetting who it was, but that was an excellent game. You have Illinois State getting destroyed, the 6th seed, moving on, that Northern Iowa. And then, of course, you have UIC dominating Murray State. So it was Bradley in the double overtime game. So complete chaos in the Arch Madness. And just some other games have been really exciting. We saw Lehigh hit a half-court buzzer beater. We saw SEMO hit a big shot. We've seen some comebacks. We see Gardner-Webb win a game, their 2nd Division I win this season. So really awesome start. I'm excited for Saturday. I think we're going to have a lot of big games. First ticket's going to get punched, the OVC Championship, Saturday night. So really excited for that as well.
Dan, what do you got? What's a takeaway or 2 that you have?
Yeah, I mean, shout out UIC. That was a pick that seemed kind of off the board to win their conference, but it's looking good so far. I want to talk about the Patriot League real quick. I think what happened with Navy ended up they were losing pretty much a majority of the game by double digits to Bucknell 10-23. Navy ends up coming back and winning 74-69. They were the heavy favorite 1 seed. Ariel, you proclaimed that if anybody beat Navy, it would be the biggest upset in March Madness, with the NCAA tournament included. I think it's just proof of concept that these conference tournaments are ultimately a crapshoot. And despite being a heavy favorite, all you need to do, it's single elimination. You lose 1 game, you're done. And it's proof of concept that we can talk about the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds and all these in these conferences all we want, but it's not going to matter when a 4 or 5 seed end up, or even worse, ends up winning the conference tournament. They're going to be the ones that will be memorable for the season and end up representing their conference in March Madness.
Yeah, and I'll obviously just kind of end with this, and then I'll give us into a game pick before we sign off tonight. OVC, first conference championship, like you mentioned, it's happening Saturday today. Tennessee State and Morehead State, 2 teams that, by the way, like, just really cool stories here from Morehead State, a team that started really, really bad this season. They were 3-7. Since then, they are 16-5, so they had a real bad start to the season. They really turned it around. And then obviously they actually just won against SEMO. So actually 17-5 since that. So Morehead State will be playing in yet another conference championship game. It seems like they're always kind of around, like either winning their conference championship or with a chance to go to the conference or the NCAA tournament. They're taking on a Tennessee State team that, a little bit of kind of a little bit of a shaky start at first. And then they ended up doing real well in conference, lost at Belmont earlier on in the season in only an 8-point game. So they kept it close with another pretty good team there. They beat UNLV on the road earlier this season. But here's the cool thing about Tennessee State, guys, is that they're coached by Nolan Smith. They're about 190th in the net rankings. There is a slight chance that Tennessee State gets a 16 seed and gets matched up with Duke in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I would almost lean that they might get a 15 seed, but you never know how things turn out. So, 190 is kind of on that, they're almost 200th in the net. Like that could definitely be a 16 seed. That would be a really cool story if Nolan Smith went up against his former team that he played point guard for. So let's pick that game before we sign off today. I know we maybe haven't done a ton of research overall heading into this episode on this. I'm putting you guys on the spot. Morehead State, Tennessee State. Who wins our first bid?
I'm going to go Tennessee State. Matt, I remember all the way back in the day, one of your Kenny Paynes was Morehead State and how they've fallen from grace, and now they're playing for a chance to make the tournament. So a funny full circle moment there. But I was really impressed by how they looked against UT Martin today, a team that I thought was going to win this conference. They really dominated from start to finish. They looked good on the boards. They had high energy. So I'm going to go Tennessee State. They have 2 guards who score 17 points a game. So I think just a combination of that is going to get them as the first team to dance.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I had Tennessee State originally. I talked about their guards. They really have some great ball handlers as well, move the ball really well. They play fast. I really like this team, and nothing today would obviously change that opinion. So I'm looking good there. I think, do we have a pregame spread on that? I guess around 3 points, 4 points, but yeah, I think Tigers win.
Yeah, I also I have Tennessee State winning this one as well. I do like this Morehead State team and what they've been able to do, and it is kind of funny, Ariel, that you point that out. I do remember that now that you say that. But look, great job by Jonathan Maddox being able to do that. But Tennessee State just they like you mentioned, they got 2 guards that are averaging both over 17 points per game. If that's a team that survives the 16 line and gets a 15 seed, I'm not calling upset, but I'm just going to say, if you're a team going against them with few days to prepare and you have to prepare for 2 guards who can put the ball in the bucket like that, that's a tough thing to do. I have Tennessee State winning the first bid, but we will know more tonight. So for Ariel Puderman and Dan Siegel, I'm Matt Majinski. Again, thanks for watching and listening. This is part 2 of our mid-major conference tournaments episodes. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will have part 3 coming out soon with a lot of the power conferences and a few more mid-majors coming up in a few days. Talk to you then.